looking for his first hit of the year. He drives one, deep left field. That goes Upton, back near the wall. It's out of here! Bartolo has done it! The impossible has happened! And that one for Dodson. Batista with a try. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it.
You got to give us a shot.
You know what?
You got to give us
Harry,
a shot.
Okay, listen to me. Let me hear what I'm saying, okay?
Gotta love Terry Collins, man. All right, so we are back for episode 2 of our second season here. What we're going to start with, we're going to kind of dive into what our predictions are for the awards. We're going to run through MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. Am I missing any? Are there any other ones that you want to do?
Yeah, that's all I had written down at least. So
okay. So we'll start with the AL. I kind of talked about this last episode. I like Yordan Alvarez a lot for the AL MVP. If Judge didn't hit 60 home runs, I think, Alvarez would have kind of ran away with it. I mean, it was really those two guys or nothing. I think he'll bat over 300. I think he'll hit 30 or 40 home runs. He'll drive in a lot, and the Astros would be at the top of the league in wins. So I don't see... what do you think? What are your thoughts? Who is your choice?
I mean, you certainly have the pieces around him to complement him. Like, you can't pitch around him so much. If you're facing the Astros, you got a lot of names in that lineup. Hitter-friendly ballpark. That plays to his advantage too, I would think. You can't go wrong with Yordan Alvarez. Certainly had a monster year last year. Aaron Judge obviously had his historic seasons, like he was going to be the MVP, and it looks like he was going to be the MVP for a good chunk of last year. Certainly one of the best hitters in the game, if not the best hitter. Doesn't have to play defense really, so he doesn't have to worry about that side of the game. You would think, I don't know, he almost seems like a shoo-in to bat over 300 again this year. It's hard to pick against him. I did go a different direction. I think I also alluded to this last episode. I'm really, really high on Julio Rodriguez coming into his sophomore season.
You think MVP second year?
MVP second year. Finished 7th last year in MVP voting. Kind of got off to a slow start last year. I think at the end of his first month, he was batting in the low 200s, if not in the hundreds. But really started to pick it up. Kind of burst onto the scene even more with the home run derby. Every baseball fan kind of knew who he was by then, but I don't know, new rule changes. You got the new rule changes.
Let's do still bases.
He seems like someone that could be a 30-30 type player. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's gonna. I don't think he'll hit 300. I think that kind of plays again.
He hit what? He hit 285 last year.
284, I think, last year. Yeah, 284. 28 home runs, 25 stolen bases last year.
I didn't realize how good of a year he had last year, because I was looking deep into the stats. He was tops and OPS plus and WOBA and all the deep stats. He was top 10 in a lot of them.
Right. He was killing the ball last year. I was looking at it and where you'd have to improve realistically to have that MVP type caliber season would be strikeout percentage. He was bottom quarter in the league in strikeout percentage, chase rate, and whiff percentage. So, he's one of those players, he has an explosive swing, so, the whiffs are always going to be there. You don't want to, you don't want to change that necessarily. That's what makes him such an effective hitter. Mm-hmm. That threat, that explosive, hard hits. Everything he hits seems to be hard. Don't want to change that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to be kind of different and picking someone that's. He's got one of the better odds still to win the AL MVP.
If you looked at the top, I don't know what the odds are. I have to look at it, but I gotta think
Judge number 1.
Judge is probably number 1. Ohtani's probably 2,
and I think Yordan Alvarez is 3. Yeah. I'm not sure who's 4. I want to say Julio Rodriguez was 5th when I was looking, which is crazy. A second-year player that projects as 5th in MVP voting.
outside of Judge of the AL East, I mean, you're not going to have any, maybe Vlad, but I don't think he'll be top 5.
Yeah, he was up there. I don't think he was top 5. I think Adley Rutschman was up there too, another second-year player. Yeah, I don't know how high he was. I remember seeing his name.
Yeah. I mean, he'll probably be good, but he's not going to win the MVP.
I think he'll be really good. But I mean, how many players realistically are going to win? Like, have a strong case for, or like project as a potential.
I mean, we looked kind of stupid like a few years back when we saw everybody picking Ohtani for MVP, and we were like, what are they thinking about? Yeah. And then he won it.
Are you sure this guy's hitting like 230 every year? Like, and and he can't control the.
So
and then
maybe we'll look stupid talking shit about Adley Rutschman, but
yeah.
So next, the Cy Young for the AL, I have Shane McClanahan. Kind of going a little bit off the wall. I don't really think that anybody gives a shit about Tampa on most days, but Shane McClanahan, he's been very good the last few years. I think he was injured part of last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah, he was injured in I think May or June. I want to say he missed.
But I know, like when he was healthy, I think he was like at like a 2.5, something like that. And I think the Rays just know how to spit out good pitching. I'm think, whether it's a good pitching coach or whatever it might be, like they seem to be, producing good bullpen arms. The starters always seem there. So that's my pick for AL Cy Young. Now the Cy Young, I feel like is way more broad.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm interested to see like what your picks are.
There are a lot of ways you could, and I thought we did pick the same person earlier than me because I also took a Shane, but I went with Shane Bieber. So kind of, I mean, similar in the aspect that, Cleveland and Tampa always seem to get the best out of their pitching. Like, they don't always necessarily have those huge names, but it always seems like you look at, like, the leaderboards for, like, Team ERA, and those two are always, like, near the top of that list. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of relying on Shane Bieber, not to have necessarily a bounce-back year, because he's been good. He just hasn't been as good as he was since that COVID-shortened season when he won his Cy Young.
Yeah.
I mean, in that season, like I was looking at it, he led the MLB in wins, ERA, strikeouts per 9, and FIP, fielding independent pitching.
Yeah.
Strikeout numbers were a little down last year compared to where it's been in the past.
I don't think anybody talked about him last year, and
no,
not only was he good, like the entire pitching staff was good. The Guardians were shutting down teams, and I don't feel like anybody really talked about it.
Right. I mean, it's not like they were scoring a lot of runs or anything. Like, that offense didn't really do a lot.
Yeah, they were mediocre at best.
Yeah, Jose Ramirez, and outside of that, it was that Jimenez and not really much else. But, yeah, I mean, the pitching staff was phenomenal last year.
Yeah, I'll look up the exact stats for both of them.
Yeah. And, something I did see that was interesting with Shane Bieber, just, like a crazy kind of split. Like maybe it does happen more than I think it does, but just the split with his pitch choices between righties and lefties. It was just under half the pitches he threw to righties were his slider, and then under 10% of the pitches that he threw to lefties were that same slider.
Wow.
So I mean does it make sense? I mean a little bit, kind of a barrel finder. You throw at the lefties, but
so and what he was throwing a changeup most of the time.
I had to pull it up again. It was a curveball. He threw his curveball. I don't know if his curveball is more of a 12-6 break. His fastball usage or fastball and sinker usage was up against lefties.
I've seen a lot of guys because when I looked into the stats, because StatCast will have the breakdown of their percentage of pitches.
Yep.
There's actually a lot of guys that will have 30%, 35%, the slider as their main pitch, just because.
Right.
I guess so many guys are just sitting dead red, but I guess so many guys are just sitting on a fastball that that's the strategy to kind of just throw some off speed pitches.
Right. Now, I should probably know this, but I don't know how they determine the difference between necessarily a cutter and a slider, really.
Well, I've noticed sometimes they get it wrong.
Yeah,
you could be watching a game and then you go back and you look at the StatCast because it'll have pitch by pitch and it'll be he threw a changeup that was 96 miles an hour and you're that was probably a sinker. But
right, I think it's for the rotation of the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, either way though, I mean, point stands. It's just it's interesting to look at those pitch breakdowns. not that I've looked a ton necessarily at righty versus lefties with a lot of guys, but like the ones that I'm like that jumped out to me is like something that's like an unusually high like difference between what pitches you're selecting to throw. As on the opposite side of the plate. Yeah, but Shane Bieber's my pick for the AL Cy Young. We'll see. I don't think I've ever gotten an AL Cy Young pick right. Maybe it changes this year. Doubtful, but hopefully not, honestly, because I mean, if he has
they're in your division,
or not the Guardians, will probably win that division.
All right, so for Rookie of the Year, I just kind of went with where the buzz was going. I picked Gunnar Henderson. I think I'll pull up the top 100. I think he got like moved up to 1. I don't really remember because I know Francisco Alvarez was at. So he got moved up to number 1. I don't know when the Orioles are going to bring him up. I don't know what like the talk is about that. I don't really think they have like a great like third base shortstop option if they don't bring him up. But yeah, I just kind of went with that pick. I'll pull up his minor league stats to make it look like I did some research, but I really just...
I mean, the Orioles are a team that's going to rely on young players, right? I mean, they've got Grayson Rodriguez too.
I feel like why not bring him up? Like you might be competitive, but like you're not going to make really like any noise in that division probably.
It seems unlikely that you'd really challenge for a playoff spot again. I mean, maybe. I mean, they did it last year. They were right in it until the end, but
yeah. So he was up. He hit like 260 in 30 games that he played for the Orioles. His minor league career, he was batting like 287. Looks like he has some speed and some power to steal some bags. So, he may make an impact.
Right. I mean, with Rookie of the Year, like, I mean, unless you're like really following the minor leagues, and like even if you are, it's kind of still a shot in the dark. I feel like who knows how a guy's going to project.
Plus, like a lot of times these guys play like
for like how like if a guy's going to be good, certainly.
Yeah.
Or, like, are they going to have a Rookie of the Year type year? Who knows?
Plus, like you
see
see some of these guys
last year, like he was up there.
You see these guys play like 90 games and win Rookie of the Year. Like they could come up in like July and still like have a shot at it.
Right. Last year that's not like I think last year the rookies were really strong. Obviously, like you have Julio Rodriguez who was up with the Mariners the entire year, and then Michael Harris who was with the Braves for most of the year. If not, did he start I don't know if he started there from day one, but he was up there for. I feel
like I don't really like remember hearing his name as like, hey, this is our new outfielder for this season. So I feel like he came up later on.
I feel like the Braves are one of those teams that just doesn't get a ton of, even with how good they've been recently, they just don't get a ton of.
I want to see how.
I want to say he still played over. I think he played well over 120 games. Like he played a lot.
We played 114. So
okay, yeah. So maybe he didn't start in the league.
I don't know if I look at his splits. See what he didn't play any games in April, and he played 4 games in May. So he probably came up late May, and just kind of burst onto the scene. He batted like 347 in June. So
right, because Acuna got hurt again last year, right, for a little bit. Is that when he got called up? Probably. Yeah, I mean he was hurt most of the year, right? Because didn't he play like the first? He played like the first 50 games, I thought, and like right, maybe in
like 2 months. I think he was
because I know. Yeah, I don't know if Michael Harris played a game outside of center field last year. I think he was there.
Acuna played about the same. Acuna played 119.
Okay.
And then so what was your pick for AL rookie?
I mean, once again, just kind of closed my eyes and picked a player. I went with someone that's going to play for a team that's probably not going to be so good too, or maybe they'll be worse than the Orioles, I would think, and it's. That Masataka Yoshida for the Red Sox from Japan. Okay. Once again, projects as he's got one of the better odds to win AL Rookie of the Year. Can't say I know much about him. I looked a little bit at his Japanese League stats. I don't know. Just seems like he's going to start on the 40-man roster, so you know that. So I think that's a benefit to his case a little bit right there. He's going to start up there.
His minor league stats were that good? Let me look him up.
Yeah, he was I think. The last 3 or 4 years, he's hit 320 or something over there. I don't think for a lot of power necessarily, but Yeah, we'll see. I want to say he's a lefty again, so could take advantage of Fenway a little bit there. Yeah.
I was tempted to pick Anthony Volpe, but I don't think the Yankees are gonna.
I was gonna take him, but I don't think he's gonna start up. Like, when are they gonna call him up? Was my worry.
I don't know, like, because they asked Boone a question about it, and he said that like it's still like a competition. So like he kind of alluded to the fact that like maybe he will be up, and like him and Kleber might share time, or they'll have IKF there. So like I don't really know. Like I saw something that they were. I think I sent the thing from Twitter to you about like IKF, that they were going to put him in the outfield, and he's ranked like
oh yeah, and like
in like the 20th percentile in arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know. So
yeah, it's
I assume if they're thinking about that, obviously they want to free up a shortstop. So maybe that's good for his case. I don't know.
But then you're just going to create the next Marcell Ozuna out there, and everybody's going to run an IKF.
Yeah. For manager of the year, it seems like manager of the year is kind of like sort of like a surprise thing.
Right.
Like
who overperforms with
the Guardians weren't supposed to be good last year. Terry Francona won it. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say Bruce Bochy, new manager for the Rangers.
All right, yeah.
Wins it. I don't think the Rangers will be fantastic, but I think they have a chance. I didn't predict them to, but I think they have a chance to be like a surprise team. That like they sign some guys. Maybe they don't, look like the greatest playoff team right now, but maybe they'll play up to like what some of the names on the back of the jersey say.
Right. I like that pick. I was looking at it after we did our last episode, and the Rangers pitching staff is like completely new. Like
I think they signed like 4 guys.
Eovaldi, obviously DeGrom. I think Martin Perez is back. Like he had a pretty solid year last year. Andrew Heaney, I believe, is a Ranger now. Like if they perform again like they did last year, like a lot of these guys, or like they have in the past, they might have a top 10 rotation in baseball.
Yeah, it's very well possible.
They've got one of the best pitchers in baseball if DeGrom can stay healthy. So like they certainly are a team that could make some noise in the AL West.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I also went with a manager that's on the team that's supposed. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up this year. A little bit of a homegrown pick. I went Rocco Baldelli, obviously for the Twins.
Come on.
Yeah. I had to get my Twins pick in there, but I don't know. I picked the Twins to win the division. I do think they have a good chance to win that division. I think if they win the division, he'll have a strong case for that manager of the year. I am worried about him. Like if the Twins don't have a good year again, I think he's on the hot seat. I think he's probably gone.
It's his third year, 4th year.
I want to say it's his fourth or 5th year now. I think he had 1 year before COVID. That COVID season, maybe COVID season was his first year. But
so what? As a Twins fan, like if they weren't good this year, like would you support that? Like him?
I would be fine with him leaving. I think if we didn't perform well again this year. I think he's really screwed with the bullpen a lot sticking with Pagan last year for so long in like the closer role really hurt. I mean, Emilio Pagan blew so many games last year, and he just kept on throwing him out in like big situations. Refusal to switch up like the batting order. I feel like he really gets too stuck in like that alternating righties and lefties, and won't move guys up in the order when they get hot. And I think that hurt us last year. And I don't know. I mean, it's been an up and down with Rocco Baldelli. How much of it is on him? I mean, at the end of the day, like the team just didn't hit last year.
Yeah.
So like, what can you really do when like they didn't have like a dominant pitcher? Duran, out of the bullpen, obviously had a crazy good year. Certainly one of the bigger names now in the MLB just because he throws 103 occasionally and has some crazy movement on some of his pitches. But we'll see what he can do with the team this year. Hopefully, I'm hopeful they win the division and make the playoffs. But
that's why I kind of brought it out. Like I'm kind of torn on Boone too because it's like on one hand, like he's made some stupid decisions with the bullpen. He's maybe been like reluctant at times to change, but at the same time, he's thrown so many guys out of the bullpen that just haven't performed.
Right.
He's changed the lineup and guys just haven't struck out a lot. So, the manager definitely makes an impact, but at the end of the day, they can only do so much as far as what the product.
Yeah, you can only put them in the situations.
Yeah.
And I mean, on that same note, you move a player down in the lineup, what's that going to do to his confidence? I mean, the managers certainly know better than we would. From the outside, is that going to affect how he's going to play, how he's going to carry himself? I think, I would think a lot of the guys in the league would be fine with that. I mean, you're used to being, growing up, you're used to being the best player in your league or whatever, but you get to the big leagues and you appreciate that everybody else in your team was in that same situation.
Yeah, I think part of a good clubhouse is being able to get the guys to kind of put that ego aside and kind of hey, I know you've been the best player on your team for your entire life, but now, this is the next level,
And that's certainly a big part of being a manager too, is managing that clubhouse and making sure you have the right guys and they're in the right head state. So, yeah. So those are the managers, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll move over to the NL. My NL MVP. This is my guy. I picked Nolan Arenado. I love Nolan Arenado. He's hit 30 home runs, gotten 100 RBIs every year for 10 years, won a Gold Glove every year for 10 years, and he hasn't been appreciated because, he played in Colorado, whatever. So I'm picking him. Second year in a row, the Cardinals going to win the MVP. I'm calling it right now. Nolan Arenado, he wins another Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, and he wins an MVP. That's my pick. I think the Cardinals win that division. I think they edge out the Brewers by a slight margin, and I think he's a big part of that.
Yeah, can't fault that pick, certainly. Obviously, the two staples in St. Louis now are Goldschmidt and Arenado. Obviously, Arenado's been that big name out there for a while. Yeah, you can't have anything wrong with that. I also stuck with someone in a red team, I guess, but new face on a new team this year. I went with Trey Turner after he signed his big deal with the Phillies this year. Once again, I'm sticking with someone that's probably going to benefit from the new rules. Probably going to steal a few more bags than he typically would. Already a guy that steals a decent amount of bags. I think he'll do well out in Philadelphia. Hitter-friendly ballpark once again.
Yeah.
New face, a lot of names around him in that lineup. He'll get this. I think he'll be in a lot of opportunities to come up with big hits, come up with RBIs. Kind of put up those numbers that everybody likes to see. That will.
And he looks good in that jersey. It was.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but as soon as he signed, I'm like, that makes sense. For some reason, that makes sense. So
right. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I can't tell you why. Really, I've just always liked Trey Turner.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because he's always fun to use in the show.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. But yeah, he received MVP votes the last 3 years now. Yeah, I just like how he's going to project coming into this year.
Yeah, I think
the one worry.
I think he's got a chance to hit 20, 25 home runs and steal maybe 40 or 50 bags. And, if he's able to get his average up to 300, he's going to be as good as anybody in baseball.
Right. My one worry with picking him, I guess, now is that could he get outshone by Bryce Harper? Certainly. In that lineup, is he going to be the best hitter? Maybe not. Maybe he's not going to be the best hitter. He's not a great defensive shortstop. He's not terrible, but he's kind of around the middle of the pack there.
To be fair, the team doesn't seem to give a shit about defense.
No, they definitely don't.
Because everybody's terrible.
Yeah.
But
they're just gonna try and outscore you.
Yeah. So we'll move over to Cy Young. So this guy, I think he's underappreciated too. I picked Max Fried.
I went with Max Fried too.
Because at the end of the day, since 2019, he's had a top 5 ERA in all of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Been top in all these metrics, and he doesn't throw the ball 100 miles an hour. He's not super exciting. He's not going to throw at 102 and get everybody talking about him. But at the end of the day, he pitches to contact, doesn't strike out guys, but doesn't matter. He's able to get outs when he needs them, and the Braves will, of course, be good. And I think he wins it.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I went with Max Fried too. So yeah, the first person we have the same person for. Second in the Cy Young voting last year. I saw he had a career low of 4.1 walk rate last year, and also had a career low in his WHIP at just standing at 1.01. Just crazy.
Yeah.
And then Braves will be good. He'll be their starter, their number one guy all year. Got other arms in that our rotation, obviously, with mainly Spencer Strider being that big name too. But yeah, I mean, just a guy that's been really consistent over the years. I agree 100%. Like, one of those more underrated players. Probably doesn't get the respect that he deserves. But yeah, he's been one of those guys for a while now. I don't see any reason why he can't do it this year.
Yeah, I agree. For Rookie of the Year, again, this is going to kind of be a crapshoot, but I went with Corbin Carroll. I feel like everybody's been kind of talking about him. I don't think the Diamondbacks will be very good, but that's all the more reason for them to, have him play the whole year. I know he played a little bit at the end of last year, and I think he had like the fastest triple of the year or something like weird stat like that. But he's got a lot of speed. I think he's another guy that'll benefit from the new rules. Steal a lot of bases. Of course, my dog's barking, but steal a lot of bases. I think. I don't think, he's going to make a huge impact as far as hitting a lot of home runs, having like a big, 300 average or anything, but I think he'll do enough to make an impact, steal bases, hit well enough for average, hit well enough for power to make at least enough of an impact to get looked at.
Yep. Yeah. Once again, still kind of taking a shot in the dark. I went with Ezequiel Tovar from the Rockies. He did play a little bit last year. Not many. I think he played in somewhere in the teens for games. He didn't have a great start to his career. I guess he went 7 for 33, which not great, but not awful. He had a home run in that time span. Playing at Coors Field probably helps a little bit in terms of those numbers. From what I was reading, it seemed likely, or maybe that there's a chance at least that he starts on that 40-man roster to begin the year. Rockies are going to be terrible. He'll have opportunities to play, certainly, if he shows flashes. And then I was looking at his minor league stats, and, he's kind of improved every year in the minor leagues, which I thought was interesting. Last year in the minors, he hit .319 and slugs .540 in AA and AAA ball. So, he's been killing the ball in the minor leagues. Yeah, once again, who knows if that's going to translate to the MLB.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people picking Jordan Walker when they were asked about it too, for the National League.
Yeah.
Another guy, I don't know if he'll be up right at the beginning of the year, but that's definitely a pick I was seeing a lot, and definitely one I considered. I think where does he rank? He's fourth on the top 100 list right now.
I know he's the Cardinals' number one prospect, and he's having a big spring. So.
Yeah, Francisco Alvarez is a good option too. He was the number one prospect in 2022. To end the year, he ranks third right now. Mets catcher. I know the Mets talked about considering him to start the year as well. So it should be interesting. I'm hoping that the rookies can make an impact in general this year. It's always exciting for young players coming in. Phillies have a young pitcher that ranks 6th. Brewers have an outfielder that ranks 8th. So, definitely a lot of options for sure.
I feel like it's hard to win Rookie of the Year as a pitcher. Maybe I'm completely off base there, but I don't feel like they win it all too often. I'm
trying to think of the last one to win it.
I just feel like that transition as a pitcher, as opposed to a position player, is tougher. Spencer Strider finished second last year behind his teammate, but I believe he finished second at least. I think I'm right there.
Going back, Devin Williams won it in the shortened year in 2020, but other than that, it goes back to, if you want to count Ohtani in 18, but I mean, I think he mostly hit that year. Michael Fulmer in 2016.
Michael Fulmer won Rookie of the Year.
DeGrom in 2014. Yeah, Michael Fulmer, you remember him?
Yeah.
That guy really went downhill
Who
fast.
he signed with someone that, I'm trying to remember who he signed with this offseason.
Oh, he's still playing?
Yeah.
I kind of thought he just
I think so.
I kind of just thought he went into the minor leagues and just kind of fell off. I didn't think anybody was going to give him a major league contract.
The Cubs. Yeah, he signed with the Cubs this offseason.
Man, the Cubs signed everybody, man.
Yeah, he pitched for the Twins a little bit last year. He was not great.
Well, that leads in my transition. I'm picking David Ross to win Manager of the Year. Because you know what? I think the Cubs have a chance. They signed Dansby. They made a few other moves. I think they have a shot. I don't know if I want to say to win the division, because I still do like the Cardinals a lot. I like the Brewers a lot. I think maybe they can make enough of an impact to squeak into the playoffs, possibly, and David Ross to win.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a tough playoff run to make to get into that spot, because there's so many good teams in the National League. But I think if they're able to do it, David Ross would have to win. Even if it's the third wild card, I feel like David Ross would have to win with that roster that's constructed. I think there's a shot.
Right. Get Cody Bellinger in a Cubs team. A lot of new faces. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah. I mean, they certainly have some big names now. It's just a matter of, can those big names perform? Bellinger's been struggling for a few years now. We'll see can he get it back to kind of where he was pre-COVID or during the COVID season? I also stayed in the NL Central for my pick, but I went with Oliver Marmol. I like the Cardinals. I think I could see the Cardinals winning the division by a few games this year. I think they are the favorites in that division, so maybe that kind of hurts his chances.
I think they have to be. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really know who to pick for the NL. I think for the most part, where everybody expects these teams to finish.
Yeah, everybody's expected. That's where I struggled with.
Right.
Yeah.
Or where they're gonna finish. So
if you,
I don't know. I just maybe if the Cardinals can win 100 games, he wins it, but I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals are good enough to win 100 games. So
yeah.
We'll see.
The Padres could come out of the gate and win 100 and something games, and then maybe it might be expected, but maybe they're just so over the top that makes a difference.
Right. I mean, how are they going to vote for the end of the year?
It really just depends on how they vote for it. It seems like more recently it's just been who, kind of what we talked about before, kind of outperformed. I think that's kind of what we went with. But that kind of rounds out what we were talking about for awards. We wanted to also talk about WBC, where we're at so far. So day one, only game was it the Netherlands game?
Yeah, who did the Netherlands play? They
Cuba?
played
Cuba, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
4-2 against Cuba. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuba's 0-2 now. They just lost. They was to Italy last night. Was it Italy they lost to?
Yeah.
Or I guess it was this morning.
Yeah, and then they actually already play. So today it's Thursday, March 9th. So they actually play 11:30 tonight again for their third game. They play Panama. Which
the shame. Yeah. I mean, they've got a decent amount of pretty big names, recognizable names in their roster. And
how long is the group stage though?
I think you play 4 games in the group stage.
So if you're 0,
I think there are five teams in each pool, and you play each team once.
So if you're 0-2, you're kind of, they're kind of in trouble.
You need help. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pull up the groups actually. So right now, if we look at Pool A, Netherlands is 2-0, Italy's 1-0, Panama's 1-1, Chinese Taipei is 0-1, Cuba's 0-2. So Netherlands is looking really strong to come. Is it like the World Cup where the two come out?
Yeah, I think it's 2 teams from each group. There are 4 groups. Right? It's groups A, B, C, D. Yeah, and then 8 teams advance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of talked about it before. I think Italy's supposed to be pretty bad. So they are 1-0. But maybe other teams could kind of steal that spot. But it looks like Netherlands might have kind of cemented themselves to advance in that group. Group B is Japan 1-0, Australia 1-0. The Czech Republic actually haven't played yet, and then China and Korea are both 0-1. I mean, I think it's pretty expected that Japan's going to come out of that group. I guess.
Yep.
Maybe
Czech
Australia
Republic,
looks like
led by Eric Sogard.
Yeah.
Yep. Got some weird ones this year. Some players that definitely aren't from those countries, but somehow citizens or some are able to play for them. Not that it matters really. Like I'm sure a lot of players just kind of want to play in the event. So
yeah,
obviously he's not going to make the U.S. team. So why not?
Yeah, I don't know. But like, what are the rules? Like you can just decide to play for whoever you want.
Yeah, I know Lars Nootbaar is playing for Japan, but I think his parents are Japanese. He was just born and raised in the U.S., so I don't think he speaks. There was a little clip that was going viral of him kind of struggling to speak Japanese.
Oh yeah, I saw. Everybody was talking in Japanese, and he was just like, "What do you say?"
Yeah, but I'm not sure how all that works really. Let's see.
And then we'll move to the next group. Group C and D haven't played yet. The U.S. plays Great Britain. What did we say? We said on Saturday for their first game?
Saturday night.
And then they play Mexico on Sunday, and then Canada and Colombia are also in that group. And then kind of a really interesting group, a really strong group. Group D has the Dominican Republic. They play their first game against Venezuela, who's a really strong team. I don't know how strong Puerto Rico is, to be honest.
It didn't seem like Puerto Rico had a ton of names. They have some, certainly. But I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Twins are playing the Dominican Republic today. Not to bring the Twins up too much, but they did beat the Dominican Republic 2-1.
Oh, really? Did they?
Today. Not that it really matters, but just like a little.
Do they have
for everybody?
Do they have the stats somewhere?
I can pull it up. I was just looking at it a little bit ago. They won 2-1. I know the Dominican Republic had a lot of big names playing, at least at the beginning of the game. The Twins did too. The Twins were playing what could be their potential opening day roster.
Yeah, I was kind of talking about this before. What I think, if enough people get into the WBC, I think the MLB needs to push expanding the game a little bit more and kind of lean into you see it with the NFL playing games in London. I feel like it might be beneficial to do something like that, have a the same way they did the Field of Dreams game where it's one game or 2 games. I feel you could go to I know Japan's not an easy trip, but
I think they did do that last year, didn't they? Didn't the Athletics play their first game in Japan? I think they've done a little bit of that. Not a ton. It's kind of hard to do with the MLB.
Yeah,
because in the NFL you're playing it's 1 game a week.
Yeah.
Whereas the MLB you're playing 5-6 games a week. If you go over there, you got to play an entire series over there. I mean, that home team's got to kind of sacrifice their home field advantage. Not that it matters for the Athletics, but
yeah.
Get that team to Las Vegas as soon as possible, but geez.
Yeah, maybe it's a preseason thing. Maybe they should just do more of for instance, the Dominican Republic playing the Twins. Maybe they should, do more of bringing over Japanese players to play in spring training or something like that.
Right.
just to make it more exciting. Maybe it's not so easy to do it during the season, but I feel maybe they can put on some other events to kind of get, kind of build the game a little bit more.
Yeah, so looking at this Dominican Republic lineup from today, though, so the first lineup they put out was Julio Rodriguez, Juan Segura, Franco, Cruz, Sanchez, Candelario, Jimenez, Teoscar Hernandez, Maya behind the plate, Cueto started.
That doesn't even include Soto and Machado.
No, yeah. They're just, I mean, so many players. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, the Twins, Sonny Gray was on the mound to start for the Twins. He threw 3 innings. Like, he got a decent amount of work in. Didn't give up any runs. I don't think he gave up a hit. Yeah, no hits. No base runners, actually, for Sonny Gray. So, I mean, that's a promising sign.
I think they have Sandy Alcantara, too, right? Isn't he on the Dominican Republic?
Maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he's from.
I think I thought
I'm pretty sure he is playing in the World Baseball Classic. I'm not sure what country he's playing for, though. I know it's not the U.S. The U.S. starting pitchers were a little lackluster this year.
Yeah.
Not that they're recognizable names. Like, you never know. Like, I mean, it's not like you need them to be superheroes for, like, an extended stretch.
Yeah.
You just, I mean, especially with the lineup that the U.S. has, too, like, you just got to keep your team in games.
Yeah. But for anybody that's interested in the WBC, I mean, Saturday's a good day for games. Japan's on early, like 5 a.m. I don't know if anybody wants to wake up for that, but
yeah, catch the tail end of it.
Yeah, but Dominican Republic plays Venezuela at 7 p.m., which is like a normal time. U.S. plays their first game at 9 on the same night, and then there are some late games. I don't know if Korea or the Czech Republic would have any names that I would know or anybody would know. To be honest,
in Korea, I was watching some of the Korea game last night before I went to bed. I don't think any of the names stuck out to me.
And then Cuba plays late again on Saturday, and Mexico and Colombia play at like 2:30. Puerto Rico, Nicaragua play at 12. Let's see. I think the Mexican team is actually pretty strong. I'm gonna look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mexico's got a good roster. Oh, speaking of this World Baseball Classic here, we've got the Nationals playing Israel right now. You know, a team you would expect them to beat, and they are currently losing 5-0. They're getting shut out by the Israel team.
That honestly doesn't.
Bottom of the 6th inning. They, I mean, the Nationals, like, now going into the 7th. So they're, 6 scoreless innings. C.J. Abrams was out there. Dominic Smith was playing. Yeah. I mean, obviously, just spring training. Like, you're not going to read in, like, it's baseball. You're not going to read into one game in spring training, but, like,
yeah.
I mean, it's the Nationals. Like, like everybody thinks this team's going to be bad. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm actually looking. This Puerto Rico team's actually pretty strong. The lineup. Wait. This says C. Beltran. That can't be Carlos Beltran, right?
No way. No way.
The guy's 55. Is there another Carlos Beltran? Because he's what other Beltran is batting 4th in the Puerto Rico lineup? Like, why have I not heard of this guy?
Carlos Beltran.
But anyway,
from today.
I looked at this lineup was like when they played the U.S.
Oh, okay. They also played. Yeah, they played the Braves today. I don't see him on. And
but Lindor, Correa, Yadier Molina, Javier Baez, Eddie Rosario.
Yeah.
Jose Barrios.
Yeah.
Like that's a really strong team. Like we kind of mentioned before, they were 0-1.
Or no, they're just in spring training games, right? I don't think they've played a World Baseball.
Oh yeah, no. I was looking at something. Yeah, I was looking at something else. So their first game I think is with the U.S. on. They start their they play Nicaragua on Saturday. 8-game slate on Saturday, so that'll be like kind of starting to, I guess, round out where the A and B groups are at, because that'll be their 3rd, maybe even like 4th game that weekend.
Yeah, probably wrapping it up this weekend or Monday for them. Yeah,
so Group C and D will kind of be starting their first few games, and then we'll kind of see where like A and B are rounding out. And then I think
it works that like the first team in Pool A will play the second place team in Pool B, and then same thing reversed. And then
they play in Japan on A and B, right?
So they play the quarterfinals and the semifinals in Japan there, I believe. I believe they play the semis too. And then the final would be back in the U.S.
Yeah.
So they've got like I think they've got a few travel days added in there just so they have time to travel from Japan to the U.S. before they play that final.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly going to be played in the Marlins Stadium.
That sounds right.
Because I think C and D, I think they go right to Florida, and then I think once the groups come together, I think it's to Florida, like throughout.
Yeah, I was looking. I think the finals on a Tuesday night though, like we couldn't have scheduled that. We couldn't have scheduled that a little better. Like I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. I think it's March the 21st, which is a Tuesday night. Like, are we really like? You want to talk about like growing the game? Why are you putting the World Baseball Classic final on a Tuesday night?
Yeah,
so you don't compete with like March Madness. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah, Tuesday at 7 p.m. I don't know.
Yeah, just like, I mean, even like for like, obviously you want this to be on an international stage too, so like you've got all the people that'll be watching in Japan or wherever it might be, like overseas, like over in Asia, over in Europe. And like, I mean, it's going to be at an awkward time for them. Like, it's going to be at a time that's like almost not possible for them to watch. And like, how is this going to grow? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You want it to become more global sport, and this is why you're like, we can't get it on like a Saturday at like 3 or something, like so that everybody can watch it easily.
Who controls the World Baseball Classic though? Like,
I have no idea. It's not the MLB, but
it's definitely it's not.
I'm sure it's an independent organization, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just seems weird that it started on a Tuesday and it's ending on a Tuesday.
I feel like the best way to grow the game would be to do something every year. Like, it doesn't have to be on like this. It doesn't have to be on like a massive scale, but I feel like they need to do more things in March.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that would be one way. I mean, part of the thing that adds like the excitement though this go around is that it is only the 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're never going to get to the excitement of the World Cup. Like, the World Cup's just, I mean, it's a bigger sport worldwide than baseball is, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's been, I mean, the infrastructure's there. Like, the tournament's been there. It's been going. Like, you're not going to rival that. But I don't know. Maybe they do make it every year. Maybe they look into, like, maybe not the World Baseball Classic every year, but, like, adding some kind of international event in, like, the winter or something. Who knows? But it would be nice to see more effort to kind of expand the game outside of like the North American countries here.
Now you wanted to talk about spring training a little bit as well, right?
Yeah. So we'll just touch on some spring training performances. Just a few players that I wanted to mention real quick. Obviously not going to read too much into spring training numbers. Just kind of like a little bit of a crapshoot. Obviously, spring training hasn't been going on for all too long either. But first player was Jared Kelenic that I wanted to bring up. Obviously, the Mariners could kind of use him to step up a little bit. Really struggled last year. Got moved down to the minors for a little bit last year in that stretch where he was batting like 156 or something. Former number one prospect. Certainly has the ability to turn into an everyday MLB player. Is he really going to turn into that star that everybody thought he was going to be? Maybe not. But I still do really think that he has the ability to be a very good MLB player. Right now in spring training, he's 7 for 17. He's got 4 home runs. So, like, the pop's there right now. Hopefully that translates into the regular season. Yeah,
and I mean, that could be the difference between, like, the Mariners really, like, making an impact.
Right.
You know?
Can they get contribution outside of Julio Rodriguez? Like, is someone else going to take out some of that pressure? Yeah, it'd be awesome if another young guy could step up and, like, they could be the faces of that franchise for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, Ty France was good last year. Kyle
Lewis. Kyle Lewis won Rookie of the Year like 2-3 years ago, right?
I think he won it, yeah.
And he hasn't been as good as he was that year.
And was it Cal Raleigh? Was that the catcher?
Yep, I believe so. I don't know if he's even still on that team.
But anyway, I mean, they could have a really strong team, and Kelenic could really make a difference.
Another player, former Twin prospect, actually. It's Christian, and I'm probably going to botch this, but Encarnacion Strand. He was one of the prospects that they traded for Tyler Mahle last year. He is 12 for 21 so far this spring. He's got 3 home runs, and he's only struck out twice. So, I mean, he's having a monster year. I would guess he's probably going to start in that 40-man roster. I think he was the top prospect or not the Twins' top prospect, but like the best prospect they gave up in that trade.
Yeah.
something I thought was funny about that was that he has, I mean, obviously it's 21 at bats, right? So it's not a very big sample size, but he has a lower on-base percentage than batting average. So I'm guessing I think he got thrown out once trying to stretch a single into double.
Yeah.
A second would be my guess of why that is. Yeah, but I mean, maybe a bright spot for the Reds. Not going to be a good year for you if you're a Reds fan. Maybe this is one of your bright spots. Maybe a few of these prospects kind of step up and have a good year.
Yeah.
Next one I had was a guy that we talked about in the Rookie of the Year a little bit, Jordan Walker. Obviously for the Cardinals, he's 12 for 28 so far, and he's got 3 home runs. Yeah, didn't have much to add outside of that. Potential Rookie of the Year candidate. He'll certainly be someone fun to watch. Like, he's got a really powerful swing, got some pop off the bat. It'll be curious to see how that translates. And then Zach Veen from the Rockies, who I hadn't heard of before now.
I've never heard of him. Yeah.
Stolen 7 bases in 10 games so far this spring. And he's only been on first base 5 times. So he's stolen third at least twice. I'm not sure which bases he's stolen, but he seems to be, I mean, quick, obviously, seems to be benefiting from maybe the new rule changes there. Certainly something to keep an eye on there. Another player that I want to touch on for maybe not the best performances so far, it's Whit Merrifield. Disappointing year last year kind of for him. So far this spring, he's been caught stealing 3 times, and he's only stolen 2 bases. It's like, if the speed's gone for Whit Merrifield, is his career really about to go downhill? I hope he gets it turned around. Yeah, we'll see. I really hope he does. I really hope he has a bounce back year here. It seems likely that he will. He's too good of a player. He was too good of a player for too long in Kansas City to struggle.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of a beef player here, but Jake Cave, former Twin, not someone I got along with.
Who does he play for now?
He plays for the Phillies now.
Oh,
so yeah, still in the MLB apparently. I had my issues with him. He's 9 for 19 with 2 triples and 5 extra base hits in spring.
Of course he is. This just shows that spring training doesn't mean anything.
Right, but it would be the most Twins thing ever if this guy just suddenly becomes an everyday starter in the MLB.
Yeah.
After batting 202 with the Twins for an extended amount of time. Another former Twin actually that maybe is hurting from the new rule changes is Matt Whistler. He's been called for 3 balks already in spring.
Damn.
So I don't know what he's doing. I haven't seen any videos of it, but
yeah. Well, that's another thing that we kind of wanted to round out the episode and talk about. Just kind of the pitch clock in general, kind of what's been happening in spring training. My thoughts on it, I like the idea of a pitch clock. I don't like how short it is.
Right. I would agree with that. I don't know, you're watching some of these games and even some of the highlights, and it's I feel baseball, there should be somewhat of a break in between pitches, and it just feels like it's bang, bang, bang.
And also in a late game situation, second and third, nobody out, you're down a run late in the game. If I'm a hitter, I want to take 5 seconds to take in the moment and okay, what am I looking for? What's the moment? What am I trying to do with the plate? And by the time you process that information, you have to be in the box already.
Right. And I mean, same thing with the pitcher, right? You want to think through, you want to take your breath, take your time. You don't want to rush yourself. Mm-hmm. Figure out what pitch you want to throw, what you're going to be confident in that situation. And then even as a fan, I don't know, you want that excitement to build a little bit. Kind of the anticipation of this big payoff pitch is kind of what makes it so special. But I don't know, what happens in the bottom of the 9th, you get a 3-2. Are we going to see a walk-off pitch clock? Yeah, because or something.
There was one at bat in spring training where the count started 1-1 because
the
hitter was taking his time, the pitcher was taking his time to for the next at bat to start or whatever. I don't know. I just feel another thing we talked about, if it's a hot game in July, you don't have enough time to grab rosin if you're sweating.
Yep.
By the time you walk to the other side of the mound, grab the rosin, the pitch clock's basically over.
Right. You just threw a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I I don't know. Like, I like the idea of a pitch clock to like get guys because like there's guys, Pedro Baez, Kenley Jansen, all these guys that like you look at their history and they take 50 seconds in between pitches. That I think is a problem, and I have no problem with the idea of a pitch clock, but I think I'd like just add 10 seconds. I think if you have 25 seconds with no runners on, you have 30 seconds with runners on. You give them 40 seconds in between batters. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like I mean, that seemed like instantly. That seems like it'd be better. It feels rushed right now, and I know, like we were laughing about this on Twitter the other day. It's like that strikeout that happened in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah,
like it's funny, but at the same time, it's like this is like you can't have that happen in an actual MLB game,
right?
Like that can't happen.
And like there's certain guys that it won't affect. Like Greinke's always the guy that's waiting on the hitter. Like Scherzer has talked about, he's fine with it. Like I'm sure there's there's plenty of situations where guys will be okay with it from a pitching standpoint. But on the other hand, like you're changing all these things at the same time. Like not only are you're telling them to be rushed, but then also you can't step off and you can't do this and you can't do that.
Right. And it does seem like, from what I've seen, it seems like it's benefiting the pitchers more than it is the hitters. Like there's a video of Max Scherzer in spring training, he's sitting on the mound, set on the mound, waiting for the batter to get ready. And as soon as the batter's ready, like he just throws the pitch.
Yeah, and the batter wasn't even like fully ready for the pitch.
Right. So like it's so easy for the pitchers to play games with the pitch clock, and I mean same thing with the hitters to an extent too. But it just feels like it's broken right now. It feels like it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Is the MLB going to do something about it? It doesn't seem likely that they'll do something about it this year.
I haven't heard a statement that they're going to change anything, and I feel like it's a obvious, like, glaring problem that it's just too short. And I don't know if it's like an ego thing, like they're too proud, like, the fact that like this whole offseason they came up with this rule and now they don't want to deviate from it.
Yeah.
But you don't really need to deviate from the idea of a pitch clock. You just may need to make it a little bit longer. I don't think that that's that hard of a, change to make. Like do it now. Do it in spring training while there's still five games left in spring training. If you wait a little bit longer, if there's 10 games left in spring training, so that you can see, okay, this works better, and go ahead. Like even if you give it a try, do it in spring training so that it doesn't end up, fucking up the season now.
Mm-hmm. And like, my thing with the whole thing is like, so they keep bragging because like the spring training games have been like 27 minutes shorter or something this year, I think is what they're saying. But it's like, to me, like, is that really going to increase the amount of viewers you're getting for MLB games? Like, is that really like the complaint that like a lot of more casual fans would have? Like, is it really that the games are that long, or is it they just don't like baseball that much? Like, I mean, maybe you want to shorten the games a little bit, and like, I don't know if that really is that really going to draw up viewership for one? Like, I don't think like this is really going to affect all that much in terms of viewers. Maybe it will.
I would agree. And I don't know. I like to see. I guess I never really looked into it. I like to see like what the viewership has been like over time.
Right, and it's impossible to guess over like spring training games, really.
I wonder like this past World Series, like where that stood as like compared to other World Series and stuff like that.
Right.
It's definitely like it seems like everybody's making it out like baseball's dying, but I don't know how true that really is. But
right, because I think at the same time, like in that 2001 or 2021 season, like I mean maybe it's a little boosted there because it's kind of like coming back from COVID and whatnot. But I think like TV viewership numbers were the highest they had been since like '99 or something.
Yeah.
And like I think they got good viewership numbers again last year. The problem that they do have to solve, I think, is like all the blackouts that they have. Like that's getting ridiculous. Like that's I mean that's a problem to start with. If people in your local area can't watch their local team play, I mean that's a problem. You want to talk about shortening games? How about we shorten the commercial breaks that we're taking in between innings?
Yeah.
Like so many times you come back from like a commercial break and like the players are just standing on the field ready, and it seems like they've been ready for like a minute or more. And like you see it when you're at games too. Like the pitchers are out there, like they're taking their time. Like you could speed up the process in between innings. You just shorten those commercial breaks a little bit, and you could cut off 20 minutes probably, 10 to 20 minutes of every game just by shortening that commercial breaks a little bit. And like, it cuts into their revenue, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are other solutions than just using a pitch clock to speed everything up.
Yeah, I agree. Also, like I was trying to figure out where is it? Like where are the because I know in the MLB stadiums they want to make it so that it's not viewable on TV, but is it an easy? Yeah. So they said that they don't want to be viewable on TV, but if that's the case, then
but it has to be visible to the pitcher and the hitter.
That's what I'm saying. Is that an easy thing for a pitcher to see? If it's over here, obviously it's on both sides, for whatever handedness you are. But if it's over here, not only now do I have to rush myself, but I have to be checking this pitch clock that's not in front of me either.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I hadn't heard that. That's.
Yeah, because they didn't want it to mess with the viewership, from a TV standpoint. So they didn't want it to be viewable on TV. So I guess they're going to have it as a separate.
Just also, it seems stupid once again because it's everybody knows about it now. What are you trying to hide it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they'll change their tune on that too. I really don't know.
Yeah,
it's really hard to say. But kind of round it out with that. I think next time, I don't know if we'll do an episode next week. Maybe we'll wait 2 weeks and just kind of see how much content we have next week with what happens in the WBC. And if it's 2 weeks, we'll be more toward the end of the WBC. It might even be over by that point. So we'll kind of
real quick before we go, talk about the Machado contract a little bit?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that last week.
Yeah, I think it was 13 years, right?
Yeah, 13 years, $350 million, was it?
Yeah.
Or 11 years, 300. How many? I forget the amount of years.
13 years. 13 years, 350.
Okay.
It was kind of interesting though, because they were not a week before he signed the contract. He had that weird interview
where it sounded like he was going to test free agency. Yeah.
Yeah, where he was I'm going to make it clear that I'm going to opt out. My agent is talking to AJ. AJ Preller.
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was unsure whether he was staying. I don't know if that was maybe a strategy a little bit with the negotiation process, but I don't know. It definitely shocked me. That's for sure.
Yeah, a 13-year deal for a 30-year-old seems crazy.
Yeah,
and we were talking about it too. It's starting to feel with the amount of money that the Padres have committed to this team, and then you're hearing they're going to work on signing Juan Soto to this MLB record contract. And, they're going to go after Shohei Ohtani in the offseason. Should he become a free agent if he's not going to get it traded and extended somewhere? And it's it seems like they're getting to a situation where it's going to be legitimately you have to win a World Series or else this is a disaster.
Yeah, because to me, I feel like it's almost inevitable that Juan Soto is going to have the biggest contract ever.
Right.
He's going to hit the market at the perfect time, be 26 years old, and be.
I don't think he'll even be that old, right? What's he right now? 23, 24? I guess 26. Yeah.
He's 20. Is he 26 now?
No,
I
think he's 23 or 24.
Yeah, I think he's 24 now. So I'm thinking 2 years. I think he still has 2 years left. Yeah, so I think he has 2 years left. So 26, and he'd be at the top of his game, and I think it's almost inevitable that there's going to be a 5 in front of that number.
Mm-hmm. If not a 6, it might. It might be a 6. I don't think that's outlandish to suggest. It could be if it's, especially if they do it this off season or this year, could it be a 15-year deal, 600 and some mil, 15-year?
Yeah.
Lock him down until he's 40, which seems crazy, because you never know, an injury could happen. But at the same time, I don't know. When's the last time you've seen a hitter like this at such a young age?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Did my computer go out? Are you able to see me still?
I can still hear you. See you. Yep.
Oh, I don't know. Like my screen kind of like turned off, but yeah, but I don't know where all the money's coming from to be able to kind of like support that, because like at the end of the day, like
I mean,
there's
they
only
have
so much money to go around, you know.
a rich owner. They're gonna be paying more in the luxury tax than like probably like, geez, a decent amount of teams in the MLB. It seems like are gonna be paying in salary this year.
Yeah.
Like you've got some teams that are paying like spending almost nothing, and then you've got the Padres that are spending that have like over $1 billion now.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it really does feel like, I mean, they need to win a World Series this year or next year, or else they're in trouble.
completely out right now. Not able to see a damn thing. All right, now I'm back now. But I don't know. I know you could see me, but like my screen went completely blank. But yeah, they keep talking about that they want to sign Juan Soto. So like, I don't really know how you can commit to saying, okay, we paid Tatis $250. Now we want to pay Machado $350, and then we're going to pay Juan Soto $500. Like, how is that even possible? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It shouldn't be like that. Like, I don't want there to be a salary cap in the MLB. Like, I don't want that to happen. But that's like, you can't let that happen. Like, it really just feels like, and like at the same time, like, I want the owners to go out and try to win. Like, I want you to spend money. I want you to try and do everything in your power to win. Like, all credit to you. Like, I'm not going to be mad at the Padres owner for spending money trying to put the best product he possibly can on the field.
Yeah.
It's more that I'd be mad at the league for like letting this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. It just seems like we.
But like, what do you do though?
You can't do anything really, can you? I don't know.
Yeah. That's where I think like we run into an issue. It's like, at the end of the day, like what do you actually do to like solve that?
Right. And if it's not going to be a salary cap, like, can you do anything?
Because it seems like every year we're having the teams at the top of the league winning more games. We're having the teams at the bottom of the league win less games. Seems like kind of the talent distribution is being a lot less evenly distributed.
And that disparity between like the top spending teams and the lower spending teams keeps getting bigger and bigger, and so like, I mean, it makes for good stories, I suppose, or potentially good stories. Like if one of those teams, like a Tampa Bay or an Oakland, or one of those teams that spends like the least amount of money, like year in year out, like makes a deep run in the playoffs and potentially wins a World Series, like it's crazy. Like it's like that Moneyball type thing where you're like changing like the outlook of baseball. Not that Moneyball really did that, because obviously they had the rotation and they, like the MVP at shortstop, but we don't need to get into that. But
but like on the other hand, I feel like we need to like put the other owners at fault for not spending.
Right. Yep.
Because we've seen
everybody's got the option to do it.
Yeah. Like we've seen these owners at the bottom of the league not make any effort to spend money, add big pieces, even teams that are in the middle of the pack. For instance, the Mariners. The Mariners have always been like around the playoff picture. They've been trying to grow with young players. I feel like they could try to go for a big free agent. Maybe a big free agent doesn't want to go there. I don't know what it is, but it seems like a lot of these middle of the pack or even like low playoff teams have the option to spend money and they just don't. So, as much as we want to like fault the MLB for, maybe not encouraging these owners or whatever it might be, or, say that the Padres are, spending too much money, I feel like a lot of the other owners need to step up as far as like getting more involved in that area.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just not going to, like, when's the last time like a big name player signed with like a mid-market, like a mid to like smaller market team? Mm-hmm. Like one of those like a big name free agent. Like nothing jumps to mind really. Mm-hmm. Like a Minnesota or a Milwaukee or Seattle. Like, have those guys ever signed like a huge free? I mean, Carlos Correa, I guess.
And a lot of players are starting to go away from like playing for the same team like their whole career.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, as soon as they're able to hit the free agent market, they kind of go. Like just thinking like if you think about, you know, like the 90s, early 2000s, like who the best players were, like Todd Helton played for the Rockies his whole career. Guys like Joe Mauer, you know, guys like Jeter, you know, all these guys were top of their game, could have signed for other teams, could have probably got, you know, high money offers from other teams. But they just made an effort to kind of stay with their team and not be super greedy as far as how much they're worth and just, you know, kind of do what's best for the team. You know, you see it in the NFL with quarterbacks taking less money to make their team better. I think maybe the free market system of the MLB doesn't, you know, promote players to do that, but
right. I don't know. Is that really a bad thing? I get like you want the players to make as much money as possible. Obviously, they're the players. They're the people that are bringing in the money. Like, I don't know, like it feels like to me, it feels like owning like a sports team shouldn't be something you do to make a profit.
right.
Like it should you should like break even, lose some money on that. Like you don't need another income source if you own a major like sports franchise.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure like a decent amount of these owners are making profit off of their teams just with how many or how little some owners are spending.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to like say what's going to happen like going forward if there's going to be any major changes, because I think with how much money the Mets and the Padres are spending, I mean, it's certainly going to be a topic of conversation. It's something that comes up as far as like, hey, this may create you know, problem as far as how spread out the talent is in the league. And going back to my other point with people not playing for the same team, I feel like baseball is structured with the rookie contract into arbitration, like 6 years of control. It's kind of structured for a player to come up with a team, develop with a team, maybe not make that much money, and then, you know, sign a contract with that same team. It seems like it's very structured to kind of work that way. And a lot of these players, as soon as they hit free agency, which, I mean, they have the right to do that. But it just sucks as a fan seeing every player sign with the Dodgers.
Yep. Yeah, like flooding to California, going out to New York. Yep.
Like it just kind of, and you saw it like, I mean, you even saw it in 2000s, like late 90s with the Yankees. Everybody went to the Yankees.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily think it's terrible for the sport. You know, like stars playing together is a good thing. The Padres being good is an exciting thing, but
right, and they're in these marketable cities too, so like it makes sense. Like it's easy to put these teams out there, and people are going to pay attention. Like when the Yankees are good, like at the end of the day, when the Yankees and the Dodgers are good, it's good for baseball. It just is.
Yeah.
Like when these big market teams are good, like it's just better for the sport in terms of like viewership and interest and really everything. Like it's just going to be better. Like when they're visiting like other cities, like when the Yankees come to Minnesota, it's always a big deal. Like the stadium's more full than it usually is. Like even on like a weekday night when the Yankees are playing, like it'll be more full than it ever is on a weekend, and just stuff like that. Like having these big market teams be good is good for the sport, but it's like it's not good for the competitive balance at times.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe some of these young teams can, you know, make an impact. I'm hoping like moving to the Baltimore area, I can go to like, you know, some Orioles games, see some good games, and hopefully some young players will kind of put some people in the seats, and you know, the games will be a little bit more exciting. I mean, it's hard to tell, but at the end of the day, I feel like the fans follow our performance, so maybe playing well is the only way to put fans in the seats. Maybe.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but we'll kind of round it out with that. Like I kind of talked about before, we're going to kind of wait to see what happens with the WBC, whether we have enough content to make an episode next week. Maybe it'll be 2 weeks. And then after that, the season will kind of be about to start.
Starting up. Yeah.
So
Not all too far off anymore.
Yeah.
Less than a month to go.
It's finally here. It's still cold as shit, but...
yeah, 3 weeks from today, actually, right? Yeah, 3 weeks from today is opening day.
Yeah, the 30th, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exciting time.
It'll be exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not sure if we'll see you guys in a week or two, but we'll round it out with that, and that's it.